Hey everyone, Persona Rose here. Do you guys love a strong woman? Or in the words of a famous bounty hunter,
I love the kind of woman that can kick my ass.
I know I do, and anime is chock full of them. Just take your pick from the old school classics like Android 18, Genkai, Revi, and Casca, to the new school favorites Nazuna, Makima, Frieren, and Granny Psycho, among others. Since the final part of the 1000-year Blood War arc is premiering, i.e. the finale of Bleach, well, at least until the Hell arc eventually gets animated, I figured why not cover one of the ladies here. The one in question being Yoruichi Shihoin, a squad captain able to retain her title as the Flash Goddess after leaving the battlefield for a century has to stand for something, so enough preamble and cue the intro.
Sucker! The fourth commander in charge of the Stealth Force, and ex-general of the 1st Division Punishment Force, Yoruichi Shihoin.
So let's start way back in episode 15 when a black cat by the name of Yoruichi happens to arrive at Kisuke Urahara's shop. But it's not for some casual get-together, as she lets him know you-know-who has arrived. The you-know-who happens to be Renji Ibarai and Byakuya Kushiki, who that night leave Uryu and Ichigo for dead before taking Rukia Kushiki back with them. After Ichigo decides to rescue Rukia, as he goes on a training arc with Kisuke, Yoruichi trains Orihime and Chad since they decide to tag along. So after everyone's training arcs, Yoruichi heads to the Soul Society with Ichigo, Uryu, Chad, and Orihime in episode 20. Once there, after a few interruptions, the gang finally gets inside the Serite where Rukia is held captive awaiting execution. They are unfortunately split up from each other, so Yoruichi stays out of sight doing who knows what. Until episode 40 where she congratulates an Ichigo on the verge of death's door after he fought Kenpachi Zaraki before taking him to a safe location. Then in episode 41, Yoruichi scares the injured boy into giving him the hollow mask that saved his life. At this moment, Ichigo wonders how the cat managed to move him safely. Meanwhile, Yoruichi is like, I know you are amongst the top scorers in your class, so use your skull. Obviously I have an original form, and that's how I carried you. Realizing that she never showed the gang her original form, Yoruichi is like, well, I suppose now is the time to show you, but try not to be shocked, okay? And so the black cat gives off a stunning transformation to remember, from a majestic feline to a flawless bombshell of a black woman.
Give it to me!
And this man is completely stun-locked while Yoruichi is eating up every second of his reaction. Yet, a little disappointed this 15-year-old isn't keeping his composure. Anyway, just as she's about to explain this tool of hers, this man is like, throw some clothes on before you get put on the offender registry list! So Yoruichi does just that, although she does suggest Ichigo to do the following.
Do you want another look? You never know, life is short and you might not get the chance to see a hot young girl like me again.
Do you want the neighbors to keep their kids away from you when we— It's called a running joke, dumbass. Try to get a sense of humor. Anyway, after she explains the device that allows her to fly, Ichigo is just like,
wait a minute! Who are you?
Yoruichi is about to divulge the truth when they both feel the spiritual pressure of Byakuya Kushiki near the tower where Rukia is. Not wasting any time, the protagonist takes flight to save his friends. And the last minute entrance couldn't be better as Ganju is cut to ribbons. Luckily, before the squad captain can send the MC to the pearly gates, the woman of the hour arrives to stop him. Hello, Miss former commander of the Stealth Force, ex-general of the Punishment Force, and captain of Squad 2, aka Yoruichi Shihoin. I could have sworn you were nibbling on some kitty litter after abandoning your position 100 years ago. Yoruichi, it's nice of you to lend a hand, but I'm about to stick my supersized knife down the rectum of his pompous— I know it looks bad, but she isn't betraying our boy. Yoruichi just inserted a drug into his body to help him heal. However, Mr. Law and Order is like, it's a waste of time to help him because last I checked, a Soul Reaper has no authority over these parts, and especially not above me. And last I checked, a Soul Reaper who can't even beat me in a game of tag shouldn't try to play the role of Judge Mathis.
The more you talk, the more you sound like a meth head.
And so this game of tag has begun, with the combatants going flash step for flash step. Just look at the footwork and positioning. Japan better take notes for the 2030 World Cup. Oh wait, it looks like this ex-captain is about to make her getaway to clear the mission when— playing a judge? Ma'am, I am your judge, jury, and executioner of you and your pathetic flash step. Oh nah, Byakuya actually did the
Did you really think you could capture me with a flash step that predictable?
Served his words right back at him while making the escape. Somebody put that quote on a t-shirt. This was fun, little Byakuya, but me and Ichigo will be back after he squeezes in some push-ups, sit-ups, and orange juice. Feel free to pursue, but the queen won't be caught by the likes of you.
How was that? Perfect? Like me?
She makes her way back to the base and is thinking to herself, damn, I'm huffing and puffing after a few dozen flash steps. Maybe I need to undergo a training arc. So she has him train against his Zanpakuto Spirit Zangetsu for 3 days so he can learn Bankai, while squeezing in a little time to continue the running joke. 3 days later, after Ichigo arguably makes one of the best protagonist pulls by saving Rukia, Squad 2 Captain Soifon is about to finish off one of the Soul Reapers who helped with the rescue when she gets jumped and forced off of Sokyoku Hill. This captain is wondering who this random interloper is, but who else but the one and only Yoruichi. She's at a loss for words, but the lady of the hour wastes no time launching the first attack of this battle.
Round 1. Fight!
These two counter each other's kicks before taking a moment to chat. A runaway captain coming back to shame the family name by assisting in an invasion of her homeland? How disgraceful. Well, all this talk must mean you're happy to see your old teacher, or just trying to coddle me to avoid punishment. What punishment, you old hag? Soifon summons the Stealth Force, which is basically the Bleach version of the Anbu Black Ops. I'd say go and glaze me to spare your life, but this is an execution battle which will end in your...
My leg! Why do you have my leg?
Yeah, this former captain hasn't lost her touch. Do you really take me for some kind of jobber, or have you forgotten that I still hold the title of...
Flash Master Yoruichi.
That title is worth less than the Queen of Rap, but if you value it so much, I'll take it from you. These two get back to boxing, not giving an inch as the combatants appear to be even. Soifon appears behind her former mentor and unleashes her Shikai Suzume Bachi. Yoruichi tries to escape, but her pupil won't allow it one bit. Don't you know combat is a young lady's game? So allow me to help you retire, Yoruichi, permanently. Soifon, like nearly every Bleach antagonist, rattles on about her power, which in this case is the ability of Suzume Bachi's Shikai state. Basically, if you get stabbed twice in the same location, represented by the butterfly symbol, that means instant death, well, unless you are this man. This former student keeps pressing her mentor, managing to get a few more hits. Tired of hearing her pupil mutter about her demise, Yoruichi decides to get a little creative by tossing knives with her feet. Soifon blocks them only to have to respond to this well-timed axe kick. However, she is of the mind one kick deserves another and forces an opening for her Suzume Bachi. Seeing her teacher is on the back end, Soifon is ready to finish it by flexing a brand new technique. Just marvel at my merger of Hakudo and Kido, a nameless technique that you know nothing about, so it's fitting to ship you to the retirement home permanently. Wrong, my sorry ass apprentice, because the move does have a name. NANI? Just because I taught you everything you know doesn't mean you and your motor mouth have a prayer against me. So it's time to bury you by the hands of my creation, Shunko. Radiating energy, torn clothes, and a great pose is the sign of a well-executed technique. Someone was studying for Mr. Kaioken, and you know Soifon deep down inside is thinking to herself,
I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
Nothing but pure aura on display as they end up tearing apart the landscape just like in DBZ Budokai Tenkaichi 3. The student goes charging in, however the master is like,
Hold up, bitch. Sit down. Hold up, be humble.
Ladies and gentlemen, if your opponent stops your attack and proceeds to hold your hand mid-fight, that is your sign to run. But Soifon must be dumb, stupid, or dumb. Because instead of heeding the warning, she flails about throwing punches and kicks while Yoruichi weaves every single one of them. This captain starts muttering about how she was betrayed for being abandoned by her mentor 100 years ago. The student and master's attacks collide one more time, which results in the landscape being torn up again. The clash ends with Yoruichi stopping her attack, and this causes Soifon to break down. You was my day one. You was my idol. we were supposed to be like blood, so why did you leave me all alone? Yoruichi ends up consoling her defeated student, and so I figure now is an appropriate time to delve into the backstory on the Flash Master. One century ago, Yoruichi, head of the Shihoin clan, was in charge of Squad 2 and the Punishment Force, where a young Soifun was assigned to her squad. This led to the two going on missions, which would include handling hollows, and in their downtime, Yoruichi would help her pupil improve in combat while sharing some tender moments together. Just look at this happy mentor-mentee relationship. What could possibly cause them to break away from each other? Well, you see, after she recommended her day one Kisuke Urahara for the position of Squad 12 captain, Aizen, back when he was a lieutenant, decided to run amok. His research on the Hokyo coup led to the deaths of many Soul Reapers and the holification of some lieutenants and captains. I'm all about the progress of science, but this is way too far. Urahara and Tessai one night arrive to try and stop him, but he escapes. Right after saving Shinji and the others from ending up in the grave, he and Tessai are sentenced to be banished by Central 46, the ones who run the Soul Reapers. This is no thanks to the devious, dastardly Mr. 10 Steps Ahead Aizen, who used Kyoka Suigetsu to control them. And to rub salt in the wound, Shinji and the others are to be executed. Just when all hope is lost, the one and only Yoruichi arrives to lend her day one a hand and save them along with Shinji and the others. All because of this madman, Yoruichi was forced to abandon her position and pupil just to help Urahara. Now this is someone you always want on the squad at all times. Back in the present, after reconciling, Soifun and Yoruichi pull up to capture Aizen. However, this former captain isn't called the man with 1,000 plans for no reason. He has some Menos Grande Hollows rescue him, Gin, and Kaname by taking them to Hueco Mundo. If you're wondering why no one is stopping them, the light cast over them basically placed the enemies in an alternate dimension. This brings the Soul Society arc to a close, as Yoruichi returns to the world of the living with the others, except for Rukia, since she was saved but chooses to stay in the Soul Society. After a random ass long vampire arc, which I'm not entertaining because it's total filler, we jump to the very long Aizen arc. In episode 114, Espada's Ukiyor and Yami arrive, which leads to the latter swallowing up dozens of souls whole. All that nourishment, and it doesn't even taste like a Blizzard or a Frosty or even a McFlurry. Those souls had the appeal of a freaking Klondike bar.
What would you do for a Klondike bar?
Orihime and Chad arrive first to try and stop them, but Ichigo, in standard main character fashion, arrives to try and save the day. Unfortunately, he loses his nerve thanks to a certain someone. Thus, he gets beaten into the pavement, leaving him and his future wife needing an ambulance. Just as the protagonist is about to end up a bloody smear on the ground, leave it to Kisuke and Yoruichi to make the save. Yami thinks these two are nothing but bugs to be swatted, but Yoruichi, embodying the art of judo, effortlessly flips him. Then she immediately says, "His ass is mine." You already know the goddess is about to put in that pain. Just look at that backhand. And a kick to the neck, only to follow up with this attack. This man is seeing stars while the Flash goddess is floating elegantly in the air. You know Jordan Chili was channeling this display as Yoruichi wraps this up with her signature axe kick.
Excellent.
Or so I thought, because as she starts tending to Orihime's injuries, Yami manages to stand up and fires a point-blank Sero. Thankfully, her main man Kisuke counters the attack and fires one of his own, only for Ukiyor to deflect it. Having completed their job to assess Ichigo's potential, which in their own words is trash, the Espada take their leave. Later in the evening, Yoruichi is out here munching on dinner like it's her last meal. As it turns out, Yami is built like the Hulk, so her attacks, although powerful, resulted in a broken arm and leg. Looks like she'll need some time to recover, so let's jump all the way to episode 300. I know someone is gonna ask, wait a minute, she doesn't fight until this point, and the answer is no, unless you count filler, which I'm not. Shout out to the beach episode though. Anyway, after Aizen merged with the Hokyo coup, he starts to transform into his chrysalis state, leaving Kisuke and Isshin, Ichigo's father, to deal with his godly power. But hey, at times like these, it's good to have a goddess on your side, or should I say the Flash goddess. She descends from the heavens to leave a nasty crater in this man's backside. Some might say to start the count, but this is the main antagonist we are talking about, so of course he rises while destroying one of Yoruichi's pieces of armor. After Aizen starts yapping for a good minute about how hopeless their situation is, Kisuke and Yoruichi start bickering about the quality of the armor like it was some level 1 craftsmanship from Skyrim. This has him noticing her foot is still intact, to which he replies,
You talking about my legs? Huh? What's so funny, smartass?
Two things to take away from this is if OF exists in the Bleach verse, you know she will be one of the top creators there. Second, I'm pretty sure there's a little going on between these two. Amusing as the bickering couple are, Aizen's like, let's get back to me running your fade. Oh nah, he said the goddess flying before responding to Urahara and Ishin's attacks. The three of them try to launch a simultaneous strike, however, this madman has mastered the art of reverse jumping. He sends all three of them blasting off just by flexing his aura. I've heard of aura farming, but this is ridiculous. Yoruichi tries to launch a punch assisted by her day one using his chain, however Aizen is like, that don't work. So he blocks it with no effort. Ishin tries to sneak a hit in, however this man casually breaks away from this dollar store chain to strike both of them. Yoruichi attempts to launch a flurry of punches, but it goes nowhere as he swats her away like a bug. These two yet again try with a jumping, but this man receives and shifts their attack same day delivery. The goddess attempts to land a hit only to be caught by a single hand again and lose another piece of her armor. At this point, Urahara and the others are like, screw it, might as well go for broke. He launches a middling Kido that Aizen no-sells, but it turns out to be a diversion for Yoruichi to launch a surprise offensive. Yet the antagonist blocks it with ease. She tries to take a page out of Saitama's consecutive normal punches, but he tells her, damn, I thought Ichigo was known for button mashing one move, but you might be worse than he is. Not taking kindly to that disrespect, the Flash Goddess uses her trump card Shunko to land the second attack, which cracks his body. She moves to land another combo, but this man is like,
there's no way out of this one. You're done.
This turns out to be the opening Urahara needs to trap him in a net, and follow up by unleashing one of his Shikai techniques. The result is a fire explosion which still does nothing, but Ishin is going to change that by firing a Getsuga Tensho. Him and Urahara hope that was able to do some damage, as the main villain has become so powerful they can't even sense his aura. Aizen crushes that hope by emerging from the explosion basically unfazed, despite having a hole where his head should be. Seeing them completely shook, he is like, if your name is not the Soul King, I ain't got time for you, so bye-bye. And Aizen meant bye-bye, because as he appears behind Ichigo, Urahara, Ishin, and the Flash Goddess crash to the ground in utter defeat, ending her final fight in the series yet.
Oh my god!
I know y'all are about to comment, wait a minute, what about her fight with Askin in the 1000-year Blood War arc? Keep in mind, I was finishing this right as that fight was available for streaming, so a video discussing that bout will be out ASAP. Despite only having so much screen time, this side character has definitely made her mark, with a combination of wisdom, strength, and godly speed, and a little beauty which never hurt. Sure, she lost to Aizen, but I mean, she got in multiple hits, which is more than almost all the cast could. So Yoruichi has definitely earned the title of the Flash Goddess 1,000 times faster than you hitting that like and subscribe button. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you liked what you saw, feel free to follow me on Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok. Make sure to check out the 1000-year Blood War arc. If you want an in-depth anime video involving Yu Hakusho, one of the main influences of Bleach, look to your left. Or if you want to check my most recent video, look to your right. There's plenty more videos to look forward to, so until next time, take care.